Not long ago, I was talking with a friend of mine, and somehow the subject evolved into one of those politically hot issues of the day, in this case, immigration. And when he boldly suggested to me that he didn't think we really needed borders at all, I proposed that we change the subject to avoid any kind of an argument. And as we did so, the diplomat in me surfaced, and I also mentioned off the cuff that more than likely, we liberals and conservatives have more things about political issues that we could agree on than either of us would ever admit. Well, that thought has been running through my mind lately, even though there seems to be much more bitterness in the past few years. In fact, I can't remember anything this bad in my lifetime, except maybe the Vietnam War era. And back then, people were drawing lines in the sand and trying to villainize one another. And there's no doubt in my mind that this indignant polarization is happening again, and with at least as much fervor. But that concept of looking for what liberals and conservatives have in common has run through my mind, and it's led me to put together this blog. Why don't we just start out by examining some of the issues of the day? Let's start with immigration reform, since I was talking about that. And I use the word reform because we already have in place an immigration policy. Individuals across the world who want to immigrate to our country legally have a process to do so. And I'm confident that both liberals and conservatives can find that this is a good idea. We both can agree on that, I'm sure. What we're really talking about here is a movement to grant citizenship to individuals who have crossed the Mexican border illegally to fill jobs that American citizens find beneath their dignity. Liberals seem to want to blame employers for hiring these people at wages below what any American citizen would accept. And I assure you, absolutely we can find some common ground in this concept. But now, how about when I try to examine the free market and I ask, why wouldn't an employer want to hire a worker at a lower wage if he could do so and get by with it? Okay, my liberal friends usually reiterate that these companies are breaking the law. Yeah, but are not the people who cross the border illegally also breaking the law? And if I ask a liberal, what if we raise the wages? Would you be willing to pay more for food items and other consumer goods that provide employment for these workers? I usually get answers that indicate complete ignorance of the economics that are at work here. In fact, most of the time, this leads to changing the subject entirely, and my leftist friends begin in a rant on the faceless one-percenters. Okay. Can we find any other common ground on the issues dealing with illegal immigration? How about the effect it has on our schools, our medical systems, crime? What about the concept that what we really have here is importing a huge block of liberal voters to guarantee the dominance of socialist Democrats? Get ready. Here it comes. Now I'm a racist. It seems to me that the left refuses to address any of these subjects. They just want to villainize me for even saying these things out loud and then toss me under the bus by labeling me a racist. The same exercise can be repeated again and again. Issues like the Israeli-Palestine conflict, voter ID laws, welfare reform, no matter how we start the debate, it frequently involves into me being a racist because I disagree with the progressive liberal line. Okay? How about gay marriage issues? Well, it's the same thing there. By the way, I have gay friends. It's none of my business what they do in the bedrooms. I'm very glad that they find happiness with one another. Being gay is not the issue. The issue is granting a marriage license. Why does it have to be a marriage license? Why can't we discuss civil unions with similar rights? Do you need a fishing license to populate your aquarium? Do you need a dog license for your cat? Just asking. Well, here we go again. We can't debate any of these issues. If I bring them up, I'm homophobic. What about global warming? There's no discussion here at all. This term has been reborn. It's now climate change. Boy, that's sure easy to document. Here we're coming up on spring, and then we've got the summer, and then it's the fall, and finally we're back into winter, and it's the spring again. In our celebrity press corps, they treat climate change as an infallible fact, and more importantly, that it is the fault of Western industry. If I question any part of this theory, if I want to open up any kind of discussion, if I make fun of carbon credits, then I'm simply dismissed as an uneducated ignoramus who has no concern for the environment. I can go on. It's the same thing with issues like gun control, legalization of drugs, liberal bias in the media, you name it. It doesn't matter. It seems that my liberal friends don't want true debate on any of these issues. If I express opposing views, I'm dismissed as being uninformed. It also seems very important to demonize me if we disagree. As I mentioned before, racist seems to be the category of choice, but I've been branded worse, including, but not limited to, Nazi. It's very frustrating to attempt any kind of meaningful discussion when this kind of dialogue goes on. As I mentioned at the beginning of my blog, yes, I've been dismissed more than once for apparently parroting Republican talking points, but please forgive me. It's my experience, and I mean 90+% of the time that I attempt a political discussion with a liberal, that they have trouble getting past anything beyond vocalizing their liberal talking points, and if I ever try to get them away from the dogma and into a meaningful discussion, it's back to either changing the subject or labeling me in the Nazi mode. Liberals, I hope you're still watching, because I'm asking that you help us out here. One thing that hopefully we do have in common is a love for America as a nation. Hopefully we can agree that the freedom and liberty that we enjoy here in the USA is something very precious and something that is the envy of the whole world. Hopefully we can agree that never before in the history of man have so many people enjoyed so much prosperity. Hopefully we can agree that we should not feel guilty about these blessings that we have, but rather use them wisely and do what we can to help others throughout the world to achieve the liberty and freedoms that we have come to possess. If we're to maintain this nation as it was handed down to us by our forefathers, we must work together. United we stand, divided we fall. Divide and conquer helps those who are intoxicated by power to maintain their control. But in the long run, it hurts all of us. None of us should accept our leaders and their policies without any meaningful accountability. Question the policies. Question the motivations. Don't give them a free pass. This will make them better leaders. Let's not simply reject critical comments. Disagree with them if you must, but don't just dismiss them as being incorrect simply because they don't fit the party line. I apologize, but I used to think that being liberal and being open-minded were one and the same. I fear that now here in the 21st centuries, I find that liberals have become the most closed-minded people that I've ever known. Let's examine our unreasonable fears about impending catastrophes or persecution. Please consider that diversion is a tactic that has been used by the corrupt politicians since the dawn of time. If an alarmist tells you that the sky is falling, why don't you question why this guy profits so much from selling you an umbrella? And for God's sake, let's please stop branding each other, anybody that disagrees with us, as being evil. Yes, some of us are evil, and some of you are evil as well. But the vast majority of us are simply human. We have our flaws. We have our assets. Our democratic system is inefficient and at times painfully ineffective. But it is the debate that seems so unbearable that leads us to the most effective solutions. Your liberal opinion is valuable and it's needed. My conservative opinion is valuable and it is needed. Please keep in mind that both of these are opinions. And remember that if either one is dismissed, we're both losers. Thanks for your time, and I'll be back soon with yet another view.